track and punish every terrorist and their backers. अब आतंकियों की बची खुची जमीन को भी मिट्टी में मिलाने का समय आ गया है.
Namaste, Jai Hind and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I am Anand Narsimhan. The might of the Bharatiya Sena was witnessed by the Pakistanis, and that was outlined over the last 2 days by the DGMOs and also the operational heads of the three forces who came there and made this briefing. But what also stood out was the tone, the psychology itself and the messaging. We'll talk about that and also build up to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's address to Bharat, to the people of the nation. The first time since 2021 that he is making an address to the nation. The first time since he spoke about an Atmanirbhar Bharat that he will be addressing the nation. And also he is speaking the first time to the nation after in Bihar where he said we will identify, track and punish the perpetrators of Pahalgam. Operation Sindoor, the first time that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be speaking once Operation Sindoor was unleashed to avenge the massacre of Pahalgam. We've just got news coming through. The DGMO level talks have just concluded and the conversation was nothing but the modalities of furthering the stoppage of fire to an eventual possible ceasefire. The issue of drones was spoken about, and the ceasefire modalities were discussed for the international border and also the LOC. These talks will continue. The next date of these talks will be announced soon, but somewhere the message is clear. Right now at the DGMO level, the only conversation is you behave and we will keep the finger on the trigger and not press the trigger. You misbehave and then goli ka badla gole se diya jayega. That message is clear and its stoppage, it's still an understanding. Operation Sindoor is still on. It's just that the modalities of how kinetic action or military action will be stopped along the border and along the line of control has been spoken about. The next when the DGMOs will speak, those dates should also be announced very, very soon. So we'll come back to that, but it's a privilege to have the three wings of the armed forces with us here. In the studio this evening, we have the former Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhaduria ji, the former Chief of Air Staff with us in studio. I have Lieutenant General D.P. Pandi, former GOC 15 Corps of the Indian Army with us, and Vice Admiral Anup Singh, the former CNC Eastern Naval Command of the Indian Navy, also with us. My namaste and Jai Hind, gentlemen. Thank you very, very much. Yeah. When have we ever heard Shiv Tandav Stotram being played? And you have the Air Marshal Ops there saying, Air Chief, Bhai Bhinu Hoi na Preet. So the shift, the philosophical shift many people noted has moved from Gandhi to Ram. And that is evident that those who do not understand Vinay, and Ram says this in Ramcharitmanas as far as he says this after 3 days of penance to the Samudra ki mujhe ek marg de do, pyar se nahi bola, so then he picks up the Dhanush Ban and says, I'll dry you up. Do you not realize my capability? How potent I am and what I can do? Is that what the Indian Armed Forces have told and shown this neighbor, that don't underestimate us, chhedoge to chhodenge nahi?
I think so, very much. Is in this one statement summarized where we have reached at the end of these 4 days. We just started with targeting the terrorist sites and terrorist infrastructure, and it was just in line with what Honorable Prime Minister said. unbearable punishment, unimaginable punishment for the terrorists, their accomplices and their support. And it was exactly that, those 9 terror sites and infrastructure that was hit. And after that, what Pakistan did when they started sending drones, missiles, and how our defense forces responded with a lot of restraint. First night, the second night it increased, then it increased further. At the end of the day, I think those 11 targets so precisely struck exactly was summarized in this line, I think.
In this line, Vice Admiral Singh, would you also say that Bharat never went up the escalation ladder? Bharat responded to Pahalgam, struck the terror infrastructure and said that's far and no further. So the blame or the onus of escalation was on the Pakistanis and they went up the escalation ladder. And that's why they were the ones who had to pick up the phone and say ceasefire.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's just no doubt. Because we had taken measured steps as the Prime Minister had announced right in the beginning. And those steps, as soon as our assault started, we had declared that this is not an assault on that nation or its military infrastructure. We are going in for the terrorists, which the Prime Minister had announced while doing a rally in Bihar, that we'll track and punish them. Identify, track and punish. That's become an overarching theme now, ITP. And we need to remind Pakistan again and again that this time onwards, it's been spelt out as to what will be the line of action. The line of action each time there is a terrorist attack over here will be not just counterattack, but finally go in for this big surgical strike once again.
Prime Minister's address to nation, we are counting down to it. We'll come to that in just a bit. But General Pandi, our philosophy, our strategists also say कि दुश्मन को घुटने पे नहीं, उसको खत्म करना ज़रूरी है. You got to finish them so that there is peace. In order to have ahimsa, you have to ensure that anyone with the hinsak pravritti is first finished off. So, do you get that feeling? Perhaps we should have pushed on for another 24 hours, or do you feel that because it's a war on terror and not against the state of Pakistan, that's the reason why we picked up the phone and listened?
So, interestingly, for last few days, every time I have come on a channel, I think all the anchors and rest, everybody wanted to carry on, right? And possibly I was the only military man having seen what war or operations mean firsthand, I was possibly talking of measured stuff which was being done. So let me quickly amplify what is happening time and again now in this whole newsroom engagements, social media warfare. We have very clearly forgotten first principle, why did we come onto the stage? And that was the killing of 26 innocents, 1 Nepalese in Pahalgam. It was a terror strike perpetuated by people who are fronted or proxies of Pakistan. This somewhere gets lost in the din for the requirement of hitting back against an enemy which had been after us for a long time. Decent neighbors, a very, very big problem child for the world, somewhere nested in our clothes. We can't change that. That is one. This 4-5 days or 6 days have been days of messaging. Each word has resonated with messaging. Sindoor, messaging at multiple levels, multiple layers, right? The tasking which was, time and again people say that the political dispensation should give written statement and directions. But I think in our age of matured armed forces, leadership, political dispensation doesn't have to come out in writing to give. When the Prime Minister makes a statement that the perpetrators of terror in Pahalgam incident will be punished, sought out and punished, that is the way to look at it. So I think the armed forces picked the orders and they finished the job on day one, right? So this is one messaging which was there. The third one, which is very clear, India is no more timid. There's a world of people talk that Indians are timid, you can slap them onto one side, they will give another one. Because I'm not saying ahimsa is wrong or right, but the bottom line is that somewhere in the world people have accepted that we will not respond with adequate muscle and power when you have hit around. So I think there's a time which has come while MEA under Jaishankar ji has been hitting at the level of diplomacy. but somewhere the punching at the military level was to be showcased, was done in a measured term after Uri, Pulwama. But this time, there's a new norm which has been set. Now we'll come hunting for you also, right? So people who are behind the Dahshat Gardi ke piche vardi hai. You know, it's not our we have coined. It is the Pakistanis who have coined, right? So this talk of now getting after the Pakistani army will also possibly start coming up, and there is a next level which will come out. So I think there is a number of, and the last one which I want to state is from Clausewitzian philosophy, which has ruled Indian armed forces for a long time. MacArthur, we have been reading only the Western books, Sun Tzu, the works, but slowly I think we are starting to go back into our own history, which is rich in warfare, rich in statecraft, right? And somewhere I think we are going back to understand what does Chanakya mean and apply it. So number of things, and I'm so glad that the Air Marshal, DG Air Ops came out with the Dinkar's this thing. Frankly, there is enough literature on us to come out and state that military power is very, very important for the country to progress and go ahead in time. In case you want Viksit Bharat in 2047, trust me, this is a lesson for life in last few days. If you don't have a powerful military, you can never reach there, because there are people who will come out from Turkey and China to test their weapon system. There are enough people who will try and put the country down.
True. But Air Chief, the other thing is, along with, do you agree, disagree with General Pandi, your thoughts there? And the other fact is, this is also a testament to our Atmanirbharta in defense, the scaling up or improvement in the systems, but the level that we have also become indigenous in our defense tech.
No, absolutely. Firstly, I agree with him totally on all the points made, and that's very important for everybody to understand. Issue is not should we continue, we should have gone for the kill. Issue is where we started, what were our objectives, and once Pakistan kneels, you couldn't have continued. I mean, we are a mature power, our leadership is so matured, you have to understand it correctly. They have kneeled, they have said, you know, stepped back. So that is, I think, the facts that must be understood. On Atmanirbharta, very, very important point that you have raised. And it is so evident that some of the weapons, some of the initiatives under Make in India, Atmanirbharta, is already yielding results, and some of those results that you have seen in this, deployed in this, both particularly in the range of initial response to the drones. Most of our counter air systems, a lot of our jammers, a lot of air defense strength that has come, radars for that, our entire integrated air command and control system is indigenous. People forget this. This is one of the best in the world. I think only 4 countries have it, but we have it pan-India. Nobody has it to this level. So we are well advanced into some of these achievements which have been done indigenously, and not to talk of weapons. BrahMos on Su-30, totally indigenously done. The BrahMos mod was done on the Su-30 by HAL, not by the Russians. Okay, again, because of a dedicated decision, and Mr. Pillai, who was looking after BrahMos then, will be very proud today of what has been started during his time and what has been achieved. So this is just the beginning result of Atmanirbharta. I think what is important is, from here we still have a fair amount of imports, and we still have a fair amount of DPSUs and private sector dependent on imports. So while we place order there, they import. We have to get into indigenous manufacturing. We have to change the scene on Atmanirbharta. We have to step up our levels to different scale in order to ensure that everything that gets produced gets new technology that comes, new IPs, all are Indian. I think we have to change the scale now and change the intensity of Atmanirbharta.
Vice Admiral, your thoughts? So perhaps for the first time in a decade that we are talking about an integrated defense staff, we are looking at all wings pressed together. Is this also perhaps telling the enemy that we have reconfigured? The Navy is there, and it's there at a place from where you know कि तुम हरकत करोगे तो हम पीछे से भी ठोक देंगे या इधर से भी ठोक देंगे. So we got them cornered on all sides, and I was hearing the Navy official there, the ops chief there. He said that we were looking at what they were doing. We were providing cover for hundreds of kilometers. And the warships and the Navy was also positioned in a particular place from where, if required, from observing to acting, that movement was possible. Now, this posture from Bharat we did not see during Kargil. This posture from Bharat we didn't see even during Balakot. This is very different. Now, is this also a message to certain nations all around us that our military posture is changing?
Absolutely. You see, this event, for the first time, has actually made a loud signal to the rest of the world, not just to Pakistan.
Wing Commander Matiman, namaste. Thank you. Sorry, I'm acknowledging you a little late, but please, great conversation. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Yeah, please. Ji.
And therefore, Pakistan has been forewarned for the first time that what we announced, we did it, and we did it with absolute precision, with no collateral damage as we had announced. That this is a strike against your terror camps. Insofar as the Navy's part that you were asking is concerned, we did not do it during Balakot, there's no doubt, because that was a surgical strike which was just from one arm only aimed at a particular terrorist camps. It was different. We did cross the LC in order to carry out the attack. This time, because we have the capability of real good standoff weapons, we didn't have to cross the LC. And we carried out all kinds of precision strikes on those 9 targets. Insofar as the Navy's part that you were questioning, we did something similar during Parakram. We did something similar during Kargil, the famous exercise, the Operation Talwar. And it had its telling effect. One has to understand that the geographical configuration of the Indian peninsula, which includes Pakistan, from the Makran coast downwards, is all to our advantage. Secondly, we are a large nation compared to Pakistan. Remember what Benazir Bhutto said to our army commanders those days, called the Corps commanders, in 1993. Generals, you forget, we do not have strategic depth. She was talking of not strategic heft, but geographical depth. Till your geographic expanse goes beyond Afghanistan, it will never happen. They don't have anywhere to hide. And that's been their worry right from the beginning. Therefore, navies across the world, firstly, are meant to provide flanking support, in a manner of speaking, for the activity on ground by the Army and Air Force. And in our case, because the Navy is so much more powerful compared to them, we are capable of carrying out what is called sea control, in other words, dominance. This time also, I am sure, as the Navy has done it each time, the entire fleets, the combined fleets of the Navy, were positioned at an arc from Karachi. Unfortunately, unlike us, the Pakistanis have got only one access and entry for import and export, unlike us who've got 200 ports. So they can't do a thing. For example, if things had become worse, all you had to do was not even declare a blockade, but carry out contraband control short of war. None of their tankers would go in, none of their onion cargoes and Kabuli chanas would go for export. What will they survive on? IMF doles. So that puts a real sense of terror in their mind each time.
So we can choke them, and we
absolutely,
can,
absolutely.
We can also toko them. That's so easily possible. Wing Commander Abhishek Matiman, your thoughts, because we also had Air Marshal Bharti today commending the work that's been done in terms of upgrading our defense systems, our capabilities over the last decade. Prime Minister is scheduled to address the nation in just about 45 minutes. What are your thoughts as a Fauji? What are your thoughts as a civilian? What are your thoughts as a Bharatiya?
The last decade, absolutely, it's been phenomenal. Referring only, taking into context only the last similar kind of an operation, wherein we addressed Balakot, that was the only target visualized and executed with precision. Things were very different. We did Balakot with precise impunity, but when what came the very next day, we were not put down, but definitely we were looking for answers. So the
asymmetry.
The
swift retort, what the Pakistan
Yeah,
called
absolutely.
it.
The Operation Swift retort by the Pakistani Air Force had us looking for answers, searching for answers. So, in the past 5 or 6 years, a lot of water has flown down the Jhelum, if I may say that, and where we find ourselves now and what we did on the 10th is a classic example and a record of sorts which is going to go down in history as the only one of its kind. We have attacked, targeted almost all the airfields simultaneously from the northern end till the southern end of the nation called Pakistan. So the capability, see the asymmetry in capabilities which has happened over the last few years. So we always had it in us to possess a similar capability which is in sync with the difference in the size, bare size of the two countries. The economies differ in equal measure. The populations differ in equal measure. Even the geographical area we cover differ in equal measure. Why not the armed forces and their capabilities? So here we are able to justify our existence next to a smaller, much smaller neighbor and dominate the way we ought to. So it's been absolutely, it couldn't have been possible without the government, the current dispensation, who have rightly, the Prime Minister had rightly given so much of thrust on Atmanirbharta. The Atmanirbharta was on display all through right from the word go till whatever understandings have been
So
reached.
from retribution to defense to offense, Atmanirbharta was writ large.
Absolutely.
But Major Manik Jolly is also with us. Namaste. So some aspects of the intel part also we'll talk about, but then I'm coming back to you, sir, and I want to draw your attention and tell me why this was being possible and how significant this is. Okay, so this is info in data. They have given us, I'm going to give credit to them. So there are two ways this has been broken up. It's been broken up in two ways. One is the military installations that were attacked, and these are the terror bases attacked during Operation Sindoor. And this is the distance. So let's focus on the red dots. The red dots first are the terror bases. So the first one is Muzaffarabad. There is also Bagh. There is also Kotli, and then Gulpur, Bhimbar, Sialkot, Chakamru. There is Muridke here, and then there is Bahawalpur. So these are the 9 dots, and the distance, if you were to look at it, Bahawalpur was the furthest at about 145 kilometers that was targeted. This itself, when we look at the 9 terror hubs itself, is a departure from the past. Right? If you look at the departure from the past, Air Chief, is because we have struck beyond the IB also.
Absolutely.
Not just striking beyond the LC. Absolutely. And the Muridke, these were actually huge headquarters of the terror tanzeems. Did you ever think that Bharat will do something like this? Now, and the other thing is, did the Pakistanis ever think that Bharat will do something like this?
The answer is clearly no. Going by what we've been doing for such terror attacks, nobody, even we wouldn't have thought of such in-depth action, and Pakistanis, of course, would not have. So therefore, it was after Honorable Prime Minister said and gave clear direction. Firstly, the nature of attack at Pahalgam, and secondly, the kind of atmosphere it created within the country, and the clear direction from political leadership. And also, he said, I have given free hand to the defense services. This is the result. Okay, this extent of number of targets, this extent depth of targets, and this would have been after complete analysis and hitting their core strength, headquarters, भावलपुर, मुरीदके,
ये सब तो जब आप सर्व कर रहे थे
कभी भी नहीं सोचा होगा.
नहीं, ये तो जब आप सर्व कर रहे थे, एक ये भावलपुर हो गया, फिर ये मुरीदके हो गया, फिर ये जो भिम्बर गली, ये वाला जो एरिया है, ये बाग, कोटली, ये मुजफ्फराबाद, and this Chakamru, सियालकोट. These must all be places जब आप, when you must have been serving, तब भी आपको पता था यहीं से आ रहा है.
तो फोटोग्राफ देखते रहे.
You must have known
and Muzaffarabad, particularly Muzaffarabad, Bahawalpur and Muridke, These are absolute core centers of their training and of their headquarters. So hitting them is a very strong message. Firstly, great damage to the terrorist setup, very big damage. A bigger issue is a message to Pakistan, message to Pakistan Army, message to ISI, this won't do. Thirdly, message to the world. This is the epicenter of terrorism. This is what we have done. This is how we will do it in future.
Though, true, but General Pandey, at that time there was a need to do it or a want to do it, but the ability to be able to execute this, was there always a question mark saying, is there the ability to be able to not just do this and then also withstand the repercussions for it?
You see, we always had the capacity to manage it, right? We also had a near capacity, I will not say a full capacity to hit out. But, well, it may sound strange, but we didn't have the possible political will.
Political will.
Because for too long, we have been good nation, that we will not touch, we will keep it to LC, we should not go beyond, let's not touch IB, maintain the sanctity and stuff like that, One is that. Second is very important what the Air Chief has brought out is hitting at the headquarters. All these three, the snake heads were very clearly nesting, knowing fully well that nobody is going to, no arm is going to touch, right? And
this is 145 kilometers inside.
It's about 100 plus kilometers.
Yeah.
From the place they have launched is 145. Right? It is something unimaginable because not even many countries in the world have done this, right? Except for possibly America, which has launched from various bases and carried out this strike. But you look at the signal, two things have happened. There is no place for you to hide. We will strike at will. Is one message that you go to anywhere. There is no strategic depth left for the terrorist and Pakistan Army. The third, which is very important, what is exposed with this, with that photograph which we were talking of yesterday and day before yesterday, that are the terrorist proxy of Pakistan Army, or is now Pakistan Army has become a proxy of terrorists?
Can we just, I'm just going to request our team, can we pull out that picture of Hafiz Abdul Rauf reading the prayers? I think that's the picture that General Pandey is talking about. We'll try and see if we can call that out.
One Lieutenant General, one Major General, the Corps Commander, I was a Corps Commander, a very big man, right? These Corps Commanders don't even go for the wreath laying or for the burial of their soldiers and officers, right? They have got lost 35 to 40 soldiers. How many of them have you seen going to the respective homes or any photographs? But here you got, and I think we must try and tell the world the response of Pakistan Army to retaliate after this hit is a clear picture of a shift in focus, that terrorism is so deep rooted that today Pakistan Army, which has sprouted terrorist or terrorism as a state policy, unfortunately the terror network has got a state and a Pakistan Army for that too. So the shift is there. You imagine?
See, it is interesting. Now, this is the picture. See, we've got the picture on air. Now, look at this. They are all senior officials in military uniform standing behind this man, Hafiz Abdul Rauf. He's the Lashkar guy. So, names may be similar. So, that's how the DG ISPR, whose father himself is a proscribed terrorist, he is at that time proscribed by the UN Security Council for aiding Osama bin Laden. So the DG ISPR comes out. Look at the salute.
Look at saluting. It's the state of
flag.
And look at the irony. It is the same army that did not acknowledge its own serving soldiers in Kargil. Serving soldiers.
It is not only in Kargil,
and
continues.
And many times thereafter. But here, for terrorists killed in an attack on their headquarters, this is what they do.
And this is Lashkar. This is Murid Ke. So this is what has happened in Murid Ke, and the Jaish they have not even spoken about. Jaish has been totally decimated. The DG ISPR tries to equate Rauf Asghar and Haji Abdul Rauf, and he calls him a simple pious man. He calls Hafiz Abdul Rauf, who's been again listed by the UN, US proscribed terrorists, and he's been listed as the front man for the Jamaat-ud Dawa and for the Lashkar. The DG ISPR actually calls him a pious family man. Major Manik Jolly.
Yeah, thanks, Anand. Firstly, we should be a little more smiling. It's a great day. I know I dare not say in front of Sovereign General, but I still say that. You know where we are today. Actually, it's a. If you review it that way.
By the way, I have to tell you, I love Kupwara codes. I finished reading it. Amazing. The amount of life insight into an army person or a Fauji's ops and the life in J&K, fantastic.
Thank you
Sorry,
so much.
I couldn't resist myself. Let's go ahead.
Thank you so much. It's the first book I've written, sir. Let's talk about that. So I was saying where we are today, there's a, why did we select these targets? You know, it's very important to see that. There are three things that go into making anything happen. One is the national aspiration. We want to kill these terrorists. Second is the armed forces capability. Can we kill these terrorists? And third is the int capability. Do we know enough? Are they actually there or not? Or where are these bases? What the supremacy that India has shown today. We not only have int capability to know exactly where they are, we have the armed forces capability to strike where we want, when we want, whenever we want. You cannot hide from us. And we are aligned with the national aspirations also. So, you know, the political, the national, the intelligence, everything gets in together. And now we have total dominance. We will do whatever we want and they can't do anything about it.
I want to take this the next level.
Yeah.
The Pakistanis want to respond militarily. The Pakistanis fire a Fatah 2 missile towards Adampur. That's what we are given to understand. Right? It was intended towards Delhi and one towards Adampur to strike the airbase. Look what Bharat has done. Now please tell me, Air Chief, did we ever think that we will do this? Noor Khan Air Base, Sialkot, then you have Gujranwala, there is Chunian, there is Okara, Rafiki Air Base, Rahim Yar Khan, Jacobabad, Sukur. ये तो अभी सब लोग yes no में लगे हो, but that's what info and data says. Karachi can't also, and there is Malir Cant and Bholari. So and there is Kardu also. So all this across, कोई भी एक जगह नहीं छोड़ी.
See, in a build-up or a plan for a conventional conflict, we would have certainly done it. But in this starting point from attacking terrorist infrastructure and their sites, and in response to whatever Pakis were doing in terms of drones and missiles, they could have never imagined that we will do it at such scale.
Yeah, this is supposed to be war on terror.
Absolutely. On that, to do this is display of capability and to give a warning, this is what we are going to do. And please mark my words, whatever was done was still very controlled. The choice of targets on these 7 targets and the limits of targets. Otherwise, we could have targeted much more. We could have done another wave. We could have done 3 waves. So that was
had this been war on Pak.
Yes.
What would have happened had it been war on Pak?
So they could not even, to my mind, intercept one of these attacks. Every target was damaged. So this shows the capability. And if they had gone on for another night, let me tell you, obviously the level would have gone up. And from the Navy's actions, and that has been explained by DGNO quite well and just now explained, I wouldn't have been surprised if they had not kneeled down, if Pak had not stepped back. The next night, Karachi would have been on the crosshairs.
What is special about Noor Khan? What is special here?
No, Noor Khan is important, strategically very important. Some very high level of combat assets are there. Very, strong combat assets. They park their Saab Erika aircraft. So AWCs are there. It's a transport base. It's some other strategic assets get located there. Let me also tell you, still the hangar that was targeted there and the over targets achieved was still very calibrated.
And Sargodha?
Sargodha is the nerve center. Sargodha is one of the most heavily defended targets in Pakistan, where Pakistan Air Force has so many assets, especially the nature of their storage of advanced weapons, the kind of aircraft that operate from there. Sargodha historically has been very well defended. Kind of their air vector assets in terms of aircraft assets.
Kirana kahan pe sir? Kirana
is also happens.
Kirana you'll have to locate yourself. I will not point out.
I had to push him a little because he's dithering from using the N word, so I had to ask him this.
No, but on the N word, let me tell you, I hear a lot of this buzz that maybe one of those are targeted. There is no way that we would have targeted any of the known the storage sites or the command center N. No way.
Okay. There's no way there is no way that Bharat would directly target any of their nuclear sites.
We have targeted in a very calibrated manner, and we have got what we targeted.
But it is possible that in targeting something with trying to decapitate them or to disable them in terms of air capabilities, is it possible that something that was hidden was also blocked something got happened?
It is not possible. These were very precise attacks. What it has shown them that basically the nuclear saber rattling was done by Pakistan. We never said anything. They said we have a nuclear bomb. It's not for hiding. It's not for show. We will use it. So it is a show of capability. We can reach anywhere and the kind of damage. Therefore, if required for any of those targets, can we damage? It was a clear demonstration. Yes, we can.
That we can. So
Yes.
जब चाहिए ठोके. अभी ये तो war on terror है, इतना कर दिया.
And possibly
You've done so much. If it was a war on terror, had it been a direct war with the Pak state, what is it that Bharat could have unleashed? General Pandey, and then Vice Admiral. Ji.
Yeah, I'll really please say this. Firstly, intelligence we always had, not today. For last 5, 6, 7 years, it's a process which you develop as a military, professional military force. So we got everything which is gridded with us, of everything, and it's a whole of nation effort. It's not done by Army, Air Force or Navy, right? There's a whole thing which happened. We got enough intel on everything, right? One is that. The second is we always had the capability to, in some extent, but I must tell you, in last about 4, 5 years, 6 years, that capacity and capability to hit with ranges and numbers has actually increased. Now, why it is increased is a matter of all detail. But there has been I'll talk of, let's say, AD. There were huge gaps in our AD in terms of family, especially the army. We know. But those have been covered. We got enough in our kitty to fight for much, much longer period, which could have imagined.
So the stockpile ability to sustain and also to and be therein for the long haul.
The second and third is that there is a whole industrial complex which has come about. So you fire a day, you get a churn up of 2 more days. So there is a capacity which is there which can be enhanced and ramped up. So all these things have enabled and empowered us to reach where we had to reach, right? So this strike actually has been a major message to tell them that we can hit you whenever we want to hit you.
Okay, Donald Trump right now, yes, Vice Admiral, as we speak, Donald Trump has come out and said that my intermediation is one that brokered the deal. Bharat at this point has said everybody was talking to us, but we are not listening to anybody.
True.
So Vice Admiral, how would you read Trump jumping the gun? So सब कुछ सही जा रहा था, इसने खेल बिगाड़ दिया. Lot of people think that way. Trump needn't have said what he did, and he's continuing to go on this line. Now, is this actually a diplomatic harakiri that the President Trump is committing? How is Bharat going to look at this? Because the Pakistanis have immediately latched onto it. Shehbaz Sharif is already rolling over and saying, okay, come please, help me out, and he's on the, psychophancy job already. Trump has spoken, let's listen to what he's saying.
Having these, they really were, from the standpoint of having the strength and the wisdom and fortitude to fully know and to understand the gravity of the situation. And we helped a lot. And we helped also with trade. I said, come on, we're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we're doing trade. If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. People have never really used trade the way I used it. Let me say a few words about the historic events that took place over the last few days. On Saturday, my administration helped broker a full and immediate ceasefire, I think a permanent one, between India and Pakistan, ending a dangerous conflict of 2 nations with lots of nuclear weapons. And they were going at it hot and heavy, and it was seemingly not going to stop. And I'm very proud to let you know that the leadership of India and Pakistan was unwavering, powerful, but unwavering in both cases. And having these, they really were, from the standpoint of having the strength and the wisdom and fortitude to fully know and to understand the gravity of the situation. And we helped a lot. And we helped also with trade. I said, come on, we're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we're doing trade. If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. People have never really used trade the way I used it. That I can tell you. And all of a sudden they said, I think we're going to stop. And they have. And again, let me say a few words about the historic.
Vice Admiral, are you thinking Donald Trump can say what he wants to say, Bharat will do what it wants to do?
I think knowing him, he's trying to convert brownie points into golden points. He is well known for this. I don't think there is any credibility left insofar as their stand at the moment with the current dispensation is concerned. Everyone knows it. Pakistan knows it better than us. But I just want to take you back on the map where you were describing, Narsimhan. You see, this is what I meant about strategic depth in geographical terms. Where will they go and hide? Where will they survive?
Correct.
Look at the spread of the airfields.
Yeah.
All of them are strategic to them.
Yeah.
And look at our distance from LOC ever since, and the IB, ever since we've acquired standoff weapons and precision munitions. They should know it better. This nuke saber rattling will just not do. And this time, more than any previous occasion, we have proved it loud and clear to Pakistan and to the rest of the world, which is so scared about two nuclear powers at war, that conventional war, an assault at our will under nuclear overhang has no meaning to India. And they will not lift a finger, they will not put their finger on the trigger.
On the trigger.
Whether it is Asim Munir or anybody else.
No, with each one, Air Chief, have we pushed the entire nuclear bluff, called it out, and also pushed the ante, up the ante and the benchmark, and the normal is now different compared to what it was perhaps a decade and a half ago. And your thoughts on Trump? Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. We've called the nuclear bluff and pushed it further. Balakot was a beginning. Now this is another level. And on the issue of what statement you had mentioned, and on the ceasefire issue, I think let's not go by the words. Let us see the ground realities and facts. We had an upper hand. We were responding to Pakistan's intrusions. Every night it was getting scaled up. After the night when 7 bases were attacked and total targets went on to 11 and all successful, and the kind of damage inflicted, very clearly it is Pakistan. When somebody rings up from world leaders, you do pick up, you do talk, of course. But very clearly it was Pakistan who went to US. They did not get a face-saving attack on us where they could inflict much damage and go to the public and say, we have taken terrorist attack ka badla le liya, pehle din ka. We have avenged. They could not achieve anything. So they needed a face-saving. They have gone to Americans and said, we are willing to stop, or when Americans approached them, they would have. It is their stepping back, and that is why their DGMO has called us. We haven't called off.
But you know what, in the larger game, I'm just going to bring in Wing Commander and Manik Jolly here also, Major, if I can ask you. This communication game, the Pakistanis seem to have mastered this art of trying to snatch victory even in defeat. This allows, what Donald Trump is doing is a great disservice to Bharat in a way, because he's trying to hyphenate Pakistan again with Bharat. Whereas Bharat is hyphenating Pakistan with terror. So there is a difference here. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Your take on it, and then we'll take everybody's thoughts. Yeah.
You're bang on, and the reason stems from the fact that they had been at it. They means the ISI had been taking good care of it since decades back. We were a little late to start on the propaganda or the psyops, or as you call it on the information warfare front. We were late to take off the blocks, and thereafter also our lookout to that particular critical aspect, which in the current context, in the current age and times, holds is the fourth pillar. Absolutely. Is one of the most important tenets which needs to be concurrently going on while operations are carried out, even before that, and even in the beyond that, for the world and the international community to draw the lessons or draw conclusions the way we want them to understand it. So the Pakistanis had been at it much before us. So by virtue of sheer experience and having started off the blocks earlier, they stand at an advantage till date. Now is the time that we have started catching up. We woke up to the fact of the importance of information in.
It's not even information, it's about how to manipulate the narrative. Mr. Manik Chowdhury, yeah. And then I'll come to the seniors.
I teach strategic communication professionally. I do take capsule at Staff College on information warfare, management, social media. The thing is, what Sir said was absolutely right. We'll not go back, but let's stick to this point. A small trick, right? We attacked their 9 air bases. Social media works on algorithms. The entire ISPR, ISA managed handle will not talk about those 9 bases. Their entire tweets, their entire communication will say, we dropped your planes, #Rafale. They will not mention that. What happens is, in the trending, in the global information sphere, all those 9 things get subdued. Hence, what starts picking up is that, we downed your aircraft or we did this. That's how they gain an upper hand. They do it very professionally. They engage the right people, they engage professionals, not only within Pakistan, all across the world. And sadly, we don't do that. If we have to up our game, this is a very, this is a game where you can't be winning just by being nice boys. We can't say, we will give our press statement.
And this is not a game, it's a war actually.
Yeah,
it's a big war. It's far more complicated than the chessboard. It's a master plot in terms of how you manage to move the pieces and how one communicates as a nation, as a whole of nation approach. This aspect of information is critical. Yes,
so
please complete on that.
I won't go what is wrong with us. We can improve, definitely improve of that. If the armed forces decided to, let's say, take a little different direction in the strategic communication part. But what I was trying to make from a simple point, that these simple things matter a lot. We all have friends abroad. Ask any one of them. The communication everywhere is that India attacked Pakistan and we started with that. Pahalgam is missing from the narrative. Why we attacked this #terror camps is missing from the narrative. We feel happy a lot is communication going on because we see each other tweets. We are within the geography and the ports which are managing our communication. But we need to take it abroad. It's very critical because communication shapes opinion. Opinion shapes decisions. How the world looks at us, how much they support us.
No, and that is reflective on the. Okay, yes, General Pandi, your thoughts.
Let me just split it in 2 parts.
Okay.
Right? Firstly, Donald Trump has actually spoken out of turn not once. He's done it a number of times. His constituency knows it. The world knows it. Unfortunately, we give him too much of a credit because he is the president, we should stop giving because everybody knows. Let's come out to the very sequence. Once said, we are not getting involved, right? Second is, we finished technically Operation Sindoor when we struck the camp. We reached out to the Pakistanis and said, we are done. Thank you so much. Let's not go beyond. They come back, we hit back again, right? Now, every day, the message goes back to the Pakis that, okay, you scaled up, we have scaled up a little bit, and thank you, let's stop it. Nowhere has it gone that we reached out to the Americans to do the deal. Now, something happened when you're talking of the targeting part. On the 3rd day, we hit symbolically Rawalpindi, Lahore. Right? These are symbolic hits. We told we'll touch you, but they didn't understand. Pak Punjabis, they came back again, emotional charge. They hit back, taken out all the missiles. But when we punished them at critical points, when you hit Sargodha, Sargodha has got other ramifications. When you hit Rawalpindi, where you hit again, has got other ramifications. You hit where you talked not to speak of N, but somewhere around symbolic. That is when the Pakis dial up that now it is out of our control. Let's go back to Uncle Sam. There's a deep state which will help us out, right? So what I can just imagine, what would have happened? They must have dialed up Jaishankar and said, let's stop. He said, हम तो बोल ही रहे हैं पहले से. So why our media is not talking of it? हम तो पहले से कह रहे थे, तुम बंद कर दो. Now the DGMO yesterday made it very clear. The Pak DGMO called him at 1 o'clock. He was busy. He picked up the call and spoke to him 3:30. They said, we don't want to fight. That's good enough. So where is the missing point? There is nothing to do with trade, right? Now he is going for a brownie point to his communication. The second part I want to very quickly come out. I have been the ADG Stratcom, right? There is a issue. The network, the digital space is controlled by the West, right? When you're talking about the algorithm, today I tweeted something against Turkey, right? It took me 3 times to upload. It comes out, it gets checked. The algorithm controls that this thing. All my other tweets will go couple of thousand. This one will not even go for 1,000 touch. There is a whole control, that lever which is there. And what Jolly is saying is so right. We have missed out by not engaging, because the West has been invested in Pakistan because of geostrategic location, and Pakistan is a proxy of the terrorist, proxy of the Chinese, and the proxy of the West. So naturally they will invest in them. And you are a good boy. We have still not learned the Western way of walking the talk, right? Till the time you start, behaving like them, coming on the table, start playing proxies, start playing that game at the high table, you will never be considered of their own.
But here's the thing, someone like a Trump gets away with trying to equate and saying 1,000-year problem, I will solve Kashmir. No. Who the hell is he? And why will a president of the United States have the gumption and the ability, dare to write something like that on that tweet? One. So that is something that Bharat needs to address. The other thing is, we know that the Pakistanis' endgame, when they lose, when they get a hiding on their backside, is to go back and somewhere internationalize Jammu and Kashmir, whereas it's supposed to be bilateral. And the only issue with Kashmir that Bharat has very stated clearly is, how are we going to settle POK and when are you handing it back? That's the only issue with Jammu and Kashmir. These are things which the world looks, and there is a, Bharat's point of view does not get put across. Now somewhere the establishment has to do it, the military establishment, the political establishment, all of us as a nation have to address this very clearly, that the world realizes that Bharat is the good boy here, the villain is the next one whom you are sitting and still throwing bones at. And it's behaving like a Rottweiler to the person who throws the biggest bone, be it China, be it the jihadis, or be it America. So that is something which we have to do. Major Manik Jolly.
Yeah, I'll only say one thing, that even during the election campaign, right, Trump bought out his role as a global peacemaker very heavily. He wanted to take away the aid which is going to Ukraine. He wanted to say, I will solve this. Before that, he was actively involved in the Abraham Accords. He wanted to tell that I'll solve the Middle East also. None of these things happened. So what is happening is, he caught on to India-Pakistan thing, and he's saying, what I could not do here, I'm achieving here. But what you said is absolutely right, to equate us with Pakistan. His statement would have been that I have told Pakistan, who has carried out terror attack, to not do this anymore.
Yeah.
At least, not put us in the same basket and, equate us together, that these are two kids fighting, I have tried to control them. That's very wrong of them, actually.
Now, how do we manage this? And do we expect, and let's build up to the Prime Minister's address, 12 minutes to go, and let's now take this conversation towards the political will, the political messaging, and if there is one man who can correct this, or perhaps set the tone on how to correct this, it's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So how do we do this?
No, I think very clearly, all points made quite well. I think very clearly we should stop giving it too much credence or this thing in terms of words. The facts are very clear. Indian government hasn't gone for asking US that you step in. We have told clearly to Pakistan, you don't do it, otherwise we will repeat it. They did it, we repeat it. So there is enough. There is total clarity, and we should not even discuss what has been said in terms of words, etc. We all know what has happened over the last 3-4 months. I think that's how we should deal with it.
No, but Chief, see, we know. Let's say the Bharatiya think tank knows, majority of the Bharatiya know. But Bharat is also not isolated as an entity. It has a stature among the world, and there is a need for those who are wanting to engage with Bharat to understand and to respect this position.
So very calmly,
that Donald Trump needs to be put out there saying that it's Pakistan that went up the escalation ladder. Bharat only waged a war on terror. Waging a war on terror is not equal to waging a war against a state, nation state, that the Pak military did.
Yes.
These are things which, someone as, let's say, unpredictable as Trump should also get to understand.
Absolutely. We
and
should calmly
J.D.
make
Vance,
this
what
point.
role did he play? The day he played, he said, we have talked to both sides. That's the night that the Pakis went for escalation.
Yeah. No, we should calmly make this point, like we are discussing. We are very clear. I don't, see there is any doubt what has happened. We should make this point. That point would be made at every level, and the Americans would know, the world would know. We should leave it there and go for the next step. In any case, let us wait for Prime Minister's address. You will know how things are changing and what is the new normal. I think the most important aspect is the terror act will be an act of war.
Yeah, any future act of terror is equal to an act of war. That's the new normal.
If something happens, what is next? That is what we should look at. These
Yes.
are forget these diversions.
I think, why are we so worried?
Yeah, we should just leave.
Tell me who in this world trusts President Trump for what he says. Before coming into office on 20th Jan, he said, I'll take 1 day to finish off Russia-Ukraine war. After that, he says that there doesn't seem to be any way. He wants to grab Greenland. He wants to go and take over Canada. He wants to go and make French Riviera on the Gaza Strip. Who's trusting him? And why are we bothered? Let us look at our own history. In 1971, the US, the powerful might of the US, sent in the 7th Fleet. What happened? They didn't go beyond the latitude of Sri Lanka. Of course, the Indo-Soviet peace treaty had a lot to do with it. But India stood strong, whether the Soviets were coming or not. What happened during the Kargil war? On the 4th of July, Nawaz Sharif went to which hotel was that? Waldorf Astoria or some other? What did Clinton tell him? In less than an hour, he saw him off from top of the steps and told him to go and finish off your war, whether it is your army chief or you yourself. End of story. We knew exactly the same will happen this time. And in all probability, he must have told his brother, don't play around, go and tell the Americans to sort it out. That seems to have happened. And we don't have to go and explain to anybody in this world.
We don't
and
need
don't
to
forget, their Secretary of State rang up Asif Munir.
Yeah.
Because their initial talk with their Prime Minister wouldn't have yielded result. And in all probability, he would have told him, fine, you told me, I'm all for it. Well, why don't you tell my army chief too? So they ring up and speak to Asif Munir. The facts are all there. Let us just look at it, make our points and let us
so you
look
are
at the
saying कि
future.
ठीक है जिसको जो कहना है कहने दो हाथी चल रहा है कुछ भौंकेंगे let them bark those who want to bark let them bark let's just do our thing and yeah if we need to sort out certain things let's learn our lessons we'll recalibrate as a nation and perhaps move forward. Now to the aspect of political will, we are counting down just about 8 minutes for the Prime Minister. We're not taking any break. We go to the address. What are you expecting from the Prime Minister? Chief, let me ask you.
I would
this.
say
We will not preempt what the Prime Minister is going to say,
Yeah.
but individually I'm going to ask all of you, what is the messaging that you are expecting from the PM?
See, to tell you honestly, I'm not going to second guess. It is just not possible. There will be a very clear statement of intent of what is going to happen or what happened and what is going. But what I want to say is 140 crores Indians will be listening. And more importantly, I think every single Pakistani should listen. And the world should tune in when he speaks today and listen to him because that is going to be the future.
True.
So to me, that is important.
True. So you're not wanting to second guess, but are you expecting something? What's the messaging, General Pandi, that you're expecting?
Messaging will be very clear. And I think the bottom line is act of terror will be act of war. You've seen what we have
and
done.
nobody controls, nobody else but Bharat decides what is an act of terror
we decided
and what will be Bharat's response
When
there.
we want to respond, we don't look left, right. We don't come under any pressure. It was done. So
Yeah.
that's
General
how it's
Pandey?
going to happen.
I think what the Chief has said is absolutely valid. This is the time when the entire world should be watching his statement because we are today the 4th largest economy. We are actually rising and we are going to be on the high table. So when the Prime Minister who has done what no other modern nation in last about 70, 80 years has done, the control of escalation ladder without actually going to war, having done what he had promised, unlike what Trump has done, right? I think the world should listen. It is the time he'll come out onto the stage, possibly where it started, what was his mission statement, has he achieved that? Possibly, I think he's going to inform.
Possibly he's going to inform. Zaka Jacob also joins us. So right stand seamlessly moves into brass tacks, but just asking the service veterans here what their expectation is from Prime Minister Narendra Modi in terms of messaging. Zaka. All right, as we count down in the next few minutes, Prime Minister Modi will be addressing the nation. It's the first time that he will be speaking directly to the nation after the Pahalgam attack and certainly after Operation Sindoor. Remember, 2 days after Pahalgam, he had gone to Bihar where he had made a solemn promise that each one of these terrorists and their backers will be hunted down and they will be pursued to the ends of the earth. So he will tonight speak directly to the people of India and tell them how the account has been flattened between these terrorists who carried out that dastardly attack in which 26 civilians, Indians, were segregated on the basis of their religion and killed. And in response to that, 2 weeks later, India launched Operation Sindoor, targeted 9 different terror locations, 21 strikes, killing over 100 terrorists, some of them high